A decade ago, when I was 12, my mom and dad and my friend's mom and dad worked the night shift at a slaughterhouse near our homes. It was the only form of work around that part of the state. It is a wonder to me now why we stayed in that town, but we did. Because our parents worked the night shift, they had to leave us kids home alone. They said they didn't have any option and we were 12. It was a small town, and the slaughterhouse wasn't far away. They felt with a cell phone, we were fine, and they could be home in 5 minutes if necessary. And because my friend and I got along so well, they let us sleep over at each other's house and liked it better that we two boys were together at night. We loved being home alone without our parents. We would stay up late playing video games, making frozen pizzas in the oven for dinner, and just being in charge of ourselves. We loved it. We were at my friend's house on the particular night of the incident. I remember we were super excited because his dad had just gotten a huge plasma TV and Xbox. We played late into the night until we fell over from exhaustion. So we decided to go to bed. His room was the last room down the hall past the bathroom, and he had a bunk bed, and he always let me sleep on the top bunk. We got ready for bed, brushing our teeth and washing our faces as we had been taught. We both still liked a nightlight, and he had a retro lava lamp that changed colors on his nightstand. It wasn't very bright. It was just about perfect for sleeping. We both fell asleep fast, and a few hours passed, so it was 2 in the morning or something like that when I heard a car door. I woke my friend up saying, "I think your parents are home." From the top bunk, I could see out the window and see the driveway in front of the house, and there was an old beaten-up work van. I knew that wasn't his father's. It was strange that a van would park in the driveway at this time of night. We both were perplexed and wondered if someone was lost or something. My friend checked his cell phone and there were no messages from his parents about expecting anyone. I said maybe someone from the slaughterhouse is bringing them home. I hope they are okay. With that, we both ran to the front door. But as we ran into the living room, we saw the front door wide open. We stopped dead in our tracks, the hair on our backs standing on end. We both instantly knew it was a break-in as the door glass was broken where someone had reached in and undone the deadbolt. We ran back to the bedroom to call our parents on our cell phones that we left there. However, the door opened as we passed the bathroom, and a man grabbed me by the arm and the back of my neck. He dragged me down the hallway through the living room and out the front door. My friend just stood there and screamed. But as I was being dragged out the door, kicking as hard as I could, my friend took action and grabbed the bat in the hall closet and charged at the man, beating him on his back and arms with all his might. I could hear the bat crack on the arm bone, and the man dropped me and ran to his van, carrying his arm with his good hand. My friend saved me from a chilling nightmare. I have no idea what could have happened to me that night if he had gotten me into that van. We called our parents and they were home in minutes, even before the police arrived. We still don't know if it was a robbery or an intentional kidnapping. Did he just by chance pick this house? Or did he know our parents worked the night shift? Our description of the man was vague. The only light in the house was the glow from the lava lamp. We couldn't even concur on the van's color, only that it was an old work van. We thought that we had broken his arm, so the police sent a warning to the clinic and the hospital in the neighboring town. But my guess is, he is out there still, snatching children. Hi, my name is Tommy, and this is my chilling nightmare about a sleepover turned break-in horror. I'm 13 and was at my cousin Jackson's house for a sleepover. Both my parents had COVID, and they thought it was best if I stayed with my aunt and uncle for the week. It was great since Jackson and I were the same age and friends. Everywhere was locked down because of the virus, and there was nowhere to go. Jackson's father got us a PlayStation and a couple of games. Well, we loved playing and spent hours on Star Wars Battlefront, Battlefield 2044, Air Conflict Pacific Carriers, and our favorite, Call of Duty World War II. My uncle was a fireman and worked alternating shifts, and my aunt was an emergency room nurse with weird hours. As it happened, both were working the night shift on a Friday night, and Jackson and I had the house to ourselves. Being home alone wasn't a biggie for us. We had already done it thousands of times. Having the place to ourselves lets us commandeer the 70-inch screen TV in the living room with our PlayStation and blast the speakers for a total immersion into the game. We also had the run of the kitchen and microwaved Bagel Bites pizza snacks and Friday's mozzarella sticks with marinara sauce. This is probably not too different for many teenage kids stuck at home with limited friends during the pandemic. Stuck inside, home alone, eating junk food and playing video games. I know it sounds dreadful, but we were having the best time. At some point in the evening, Jackson went upstairs to use the toilet. I went into the kitchen to call my mom to see how everyone was at home. We talked for a few minutes, and then Jackson came down and joined me in the kitchen. "Whoa, what are you doing in the kitchen, dude?" "I heard you upstairs in the bedroom when I came down from the bathroom." "How did you get here so fast?" I said, "Jax, I have been here the entire time talking with my mom. I wasn't upstairs." Jackson turned his head back, looking to the bedroom next to the bathroom, and said, "Dude, I heard you there." Together, we went back upstairs and cautiously peered into the bedroom. It was dark, but with the light coming in from the street lamp outside, we could see no one was in the room. We closed the door, and I told him he was such a paranoid goofball, and we went back to playing Call of Duty. We cranked up the volume so that the room shook, and we got into the action. At the end of the game, the loading screen came up, and the room fell silent. We dropped into the couch to catch our breath, and it was at that moment we both heard someone upstairs moving about. Jackson hit mute, and we both sat up and listened. Someone was in the house. We heard a grunting noise before it fell silent with the sound of the TV off. Jackson whispered. "They stopped as soon as I muted the TV. But you heard it, didn't you? We must get out of here. Go out the back door quickly." As soon as we were outside, hiding in the treehouse, we called the police. The treehouse is the same height and across the yard from the bedroom. How stupid was that to hide in plain sight of the bedroom window? And even more ridiculous, Jackson turned his cell phone flashlight on and aimed it at the window. My heart nearly fell out of my chest and crashed to the ground below as a shadow stepped in front of the window briefly and then hid from our view. He indeed spotted us in the eagle's nest. Jackson grabbed the zipline and disappeared into the dark below, and I slid down the climbing rope. We both ran across the backyard to the neighbor's house. We stayed hidden in their bushes until we heard the police pull up in front of Jackson's house. 2 officers with flashlights went around the house and entered through the back door, which we left open in our rush to escape. We stood by the cruiser out front while the cops searched for the intruder upstairs. And right in front of us, a vagrant in his late 40s walks calmly out of the front door and takes off running down the street. Jackson and I ran to the front door and yelled up the stairs to the cops. The creep just ran down the street. The police called for a K-9 unit to come give chase, but the guy was never found. They think he hopped on a train that passed not far from our house. He got away with some cash, and a prescription from the bathroom cabinet was all Jackson's dad could determine. He considered it fortunate that we were not harmed. In my late 20s, I helped a friend move into an old house across town. He had plans to update and decorate it and return it to a nice place to live. It was a good neighborhood of working-class homes, many built in the late 1920s, now mixed between updated, well-kept, and run-down and needing repair. Most of those were owned by elderly people, and then there were a few complete rehab vacant places. My friend's new project house was a recent estate sale needing updating, not a total rehab. It was livable, so he could move in and work on it over time while maintaining his full-time job. We spent a long day moving his furniture from his apartment to the house. He had the heaviest furniture you can imagine. There was a desk that was all oak or something so heavy, and a dining room table kind of 70s modern with a super heavy metal center base that nearly broke our backs moving. He said he didn't buy any of this stuff. It was all inherited from his parents, so he liked it even if it weighed a ton. He promised me we would not move it again, laughing hard as we struggled down the front steps and then up the front steps to the new place. So we finished up late, and I was falling over exhausted. We had a pizza delivered and drank a beer. I only live 20 minutes away, but my friend suggested that I sleep in what will be the guest room in the basement. At one point in its history, this room was a fantastic 1920s bar. I can imagine a pool table, card, or poker table with a group of men smoking cigars on a Saturday night. The original wooden bar with mirror and shelves was still in place. There were 2 stairs down to the bar room, one from the kitchen above and an outside stairwell leading to the backyard. My friend put his guest bed down there, which was super comfortable. I would sleep there, and we would finish up in the morning. I was so exhausted I dropped into the bed and was asleep before my head hit the pillow. Several hours after midnight, a fairly loud noise awakened me from my deep slumber. It sounded like something moving around down in the basement. I turned on the light and the room was still and I didn't see anything. It was just one room, so I could see everything from the bed. I was a little creeped out, but I was so tired I fell asleep. In my half-subconscious state of slumber, I continued to hear something moving around, and even though it grossed me out, I thought there probably was a giant rat or something in the basement. But I could not move from exhaustion and lay still, hoping it would stay away from me. The following morning, I went upstairs and my friend asked how I slept. I told him there was probably a rat living in the basement. I never saw it, but I could hear it. He told me that he had heard a noise in the night as well, but thought it was just me moving about in the basement, but he couldn't figure out why I went outside. He said the noise wasn't a rat because it was undoubtedly man-size. That is why he thought it was me and didn't investigate. We both concurred it was bizarre. After breakfast, we continued to move boxes in the house and organize the place. When I put a box behind the bar just to get it out of the way, I saw a rope with a knot on the floor. I bent and pulled up on the rope and a secret door in the floor raised up. It was hidden behind the bar and there was a stair down. I called my friend upstairs and said, "Bring a flashlight. I have found something." Together, we lifted the trap door leading to the hidden room, and with flashlights in hand, we descended the stairs. We entered a room nearly as big as the basement above. It was lined with shelves with boxes with old labels of Bacardi and Old Forester. There were still some full bottles of Prohibition whiskey and rum in them. There were empty bottles, a dirty sleeping bag, and a pillow. A table with McDonald's bags crumpled indicated a recent visitor. We had discovered a speakeasy from the 1920s that apparently was still in use, at least by a derelict alcoholic who had been living in this room for some time. He was here that night. A frightening nightmare shook us that someone was in the house. We changed the door lock on the door leading up to the backyard, and no one ever revisited it.